Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the death of renowned actor Kenneth Mitchell. First thing off, I want to state I am want to offer my prayers and condolences to the close friends and family members of Kenneth Mitchell. It's terrible to hear about passing of someone, especially at such a relatively young age, 49 years old. He died due to, I believe it was the progression of ALS disease. And ALS is a neurological disease that adversely affects the nerve cells and the of the spinal cord and brain. And the thing is, I'm going to talk again about some natal placements, transits that may have been tied in with his passing. I had to improvise once again and do a solar/sunrise chart for Kenneth Mitchell because the time of birth was not available. He was born on November 25th, 1974 in Toronto, Canada. And of course, his sun is in Sagittarius. The sun, is our basic fundamental character. And, with the sun being in Sagittarius, I'm sure he was somebody that's very, jocular, jovial, optimistic, upbeat, philosophical person that may be, somewhat, be risky, risk-taking, but I'm sure could be very blunt. I'm sure he was at times. And his moon is in Aries, and the moon is, our emotional needs, our unconscious side. The unconscious side of him may have been someone that was aggressive, assertive, outspoken, direct, courageous, abrupt, but yet may have been impatient and impetuous as well. And the moon and the Aries emotional needs may have been things, may have been tied into things that were pioneering or the military or carpentry, welding, combat sports, adventure. The thing is, as far as some natal placements go, that might be tied in with the ALS. The thing is, neurological, disorders, the nervous system disorders are tied in with Mercury and Uranus. What I find interesting in Kenneth Mitchell's chart is that he has Mercury conjunct Mars. Now, Mars can be tied in, with physical related issues. And then Mercury, again has a connection with nervous system disorders and makes a tight conjunction in Scorpio. So there may have been even stronger issues of power and control in these matters. It falls in the 12th house of his solar/sunrise chart. 12th house is connected with restrictions. And another thing too is that the thing about chart what's another thing that I noticed that's interesting about this is that he does have I want to shift gears momentarily, tied in with his life. The sun is in Sagittarius. He's got a stellium between with the sun in Sagittarius, followed by Venus in Sagittarius, and Neptune in Sagittarius. And it ends with the North Node in Sagittarius. And what's interesting about this, a stellium in astrology, it's broken down systematically. It's very concentrated, integrated energy, and it basically forms an astrological statement. What starts out with the first planet, ends, with the final one. So the sun in astrology, in his case, first planet, the sun is about our life, drive, motivation. Venus has a connection, followed by Venus being connected with the arts and money. And Neptune, is can be associated with film, videos, filmography. And what I think is, and then ending with the North Node. Now the North Node, technically means stelliums consist of planets. Only, but it's interesting that the North Node comes after Neptune, and in the stellium, and the North Node can be tied in with one's destiny and future. So, the thing about this is with the stellium being in Sagittarius, this could be flavored, with a lot of optimism, enthusiasm, exuberance, and I believe he was had at least one role tied in with sports, and Sagittarius is connected with sports. So, and also adventure and the law as well. I'm sure he was in some, crime drama series, and that, still, has a connection with the law and adventure as well, tied in with Sagittarius. Now, the Sun in Sagittarius makes at least a loose conjunction to his North Node. And what I've noticed with people, a lot of people that have the Sun conjunct the North Node in their natal chart, they seem to often, be destined for something, really special in their life. And it could often, indicate, could be some kind of notoriety, or just something where they may make some kind of some kind of strong monumental achievement in their life where it's very impactful. If I'm not mistaken, renowned YouTube astrologer Marin Altman has her Sun conjunct the North Node in her chart, and she's obviously had certain success in her life. So uh, the thing is too, now another thing, about, as far as his, natal placements in his chart, anything that may have been tied in, with his passing. Well, I noticed too that he does have, Neptune is conjunct the Sun and Venus in his natal chart, and Neptune, conjunct the Sun, can indicate some dissolving or dissipation of the vitality. I mean, that could happen with anybody regardless of astrological placements, but when you have that aspect, I would say it could happen, more, possibly earlier in life, compared to most people, where the person, that could be more of a constant thing, having diminished, weakened energy or vitality. And also, the thing is, Neptune conjuncts his Venus as well, and Venus has tied in with the voice, the vocal cords. And when you have ALS, I believe one of the symptoms can be, the dissipation, the dissolving of the voice, and that's what, Neptune conjunct Venus. I believe that's how it might have played out with him, sadly. Now, another thing to transit I found interesting. This chart, I could say compelling, I could say interesting, be redundant with it, but this I'll change the synonyms and say very compelling. Transit, I think, is the transit of Uranus making the opposition to his Mars at this time, very tight opposition. And the thing about that is that, Uranus, again, can be tied in, with neurological issues. Mars is associated with the muscles. Now, I understand that, some of the early symptoms, at least, if you have the ALS neurological disease, is that, twitching spasms, can occur with the muscles. Now, I noticed that, again, transit Uranus making the opposition to Mars, because, you have a negative relationship between Uranus and Mars. It makes you wonder if there was anything that might have been going on as far as some kind of, intermittent, twitching spasms going on with his muscles, even during, the latter stages of the disease, right, shortly before he passed on. Now, another thing, that I've noticed too, he's also in his Chiron return as well. And transit Chiron was not far from his natal Chiron placement, fairly close proximity. The thing, though, is may not be seen as a conjunction by transit, but it's still, the transit of Chiron was still relatively close to his natal Chiron. And, Chiron in Aries, natally, could be, tied into physical, related issues and associated with the head, the face, the skull, and even the brain. And the ALS again is connected, with the it's a disease that affects, the nerve cells, connected with the spinal cord, and the brain. And the thing is too, and he also had, what I want to state, the transit of Uranus was making an opposition to his Mercury. And that Mercury is tied in, it has a connection with the brain, and Uranus is, associated, with the neurological disorders, and also, just the nerves in general. And the thing too is, and again, the fact that Mercury is in Scorpio, it can show, I think it's evident in this particular case, the power and control issues, associated with this as well. Now I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that stands out, in his chart in terms of, any natal placements or transits that may have been tied in with his passing. Now, in the solar/sunrise chart, he does have, again, the Mercury, being in the 12th house, of limitations, and that could be, with the mobility, and the nerves, something, of a neurological nature. And also, I notice as well, Mars is in the 12th house of limitations as well. And Mars, again, is tied in, with the muscles. Mobility can be affected, adversely if you have ALS, and Mercury is also connected with mobility, and again, it falls in that 12th house of limitations in his chart. Now, another thing, and I'm just trying to see if there's anything, else here, that stands out, tied in to his passing. Well, he also, looking at chart, also had, transit Neptune, transit North Node, and Chiron, all in the fourth house of the end of life. Neptune is connecting, with weakness, fatigue, lethargy. It's dissolving, dissipation. And also, the North Node, can, reflect, issues. And when you have the North Node in transit, it can reflect issues one may have to address and confront. And, being, in Aries, something, Aries, again, is connected, with the brain. And also, the Chiron, again, can't be, I don't know if you can overemphasize, Chiron. It may not be a planet, but it still has, a lot of significance, in one's chart. So, it can be tied in, not just emotional suffering, but physical suffering as well. Also, Kenneth Mitchell had transit Uranus in the solar sunrise chart in the 6th house of physical, related issues. And Uranus, again, is connected with neurological disorders. And being in Taurus, Taurus has a connection with the voice, I would say swallowing as well. And those things, can be weakened with the ALS, disorder. So, and I'm looking also, in his chart as well. And the thing is, now he has Pluto in the 10th house in the solar sunrise chart, so that's an indicator of a death that may have some kind of, notoriety and recognition. And another thing too, looking at his chart as well, is that he had the ruler of the 8th house, which is the moon, falls in the 4th house. So that could indicate a death in the home. And the thing is, I don't know if that's where he actually died or where he passed away. I don't know if he was, in his home or if he was with friends. The only thing that I know regarding his death is that it was, my understanding, due to the progression, the escalation of the ALS. And the thing too is, looking at his chart as well. It's just, You see, the Sagittarius energy. He was somebody that I'm sure, again, was really, jovial, jocular, optimistic, a person that loved life, and, sadly, it's taken away at such an early age. You look at things where, we're near 2024, and despite all our, modern innovations, we still, there's so many diseases out there that are like an enigma to people, and where they can't find, any kind of cure to really, eradicate them. The thing is, I understand I believe there's some cancers, things that are cancers that are, that can be, treated or contained, at least if they're discovered early. But I mean, you still have so many things, that people can contract, people that they get however they get it, whether it's hereditary or some other means, and that people cannot do anything about. And it's just terrible that we're in, it seems like we make all these advancements in terms of computers and electronics, but as far as things that would, obliterate, deadly, perilous, health related issues, it seems like, you may have certain advancements, but it doesn't seem like it goes at the same rate as like these modern innovations, again, that are connected with computers and electronics, as an example. And I just want to close with, again, I do, I can't overemphasize enough, again, the prayers and condolences go out to Kenneth Mitchell's close friends and family members. If there's any chance, any of you happen to see this, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry that this happened. Life is so precious. You just never know, when your time is. I'm very grateful. I have tremendous gratitude, to the man upstairs, and the fact that I'm still alive. I'm in my early 50s and going to be 54 in the near future, and I still basically, have my basic health and able to subsist and survive. And I thank him for this, that I still have that ability to, be alive and sustain myself. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.